Anita, what's the reaction from President Biden's close allies and aides following his announcement?
This was certainly a surprise, not just outside the White House, but inside the White House, where we heard that President Joe Biden released this and some of his aides found out a minute later. He didn't tell them before he pulled the trigger and made this decision. So there's a lot of surprise. There are a lot of questions about what happens next. But we just heard from the Vice President. She appeared at an event for student athletes, and she praised the president's track record of service to his country and I guess tried to reassure Americans that the boat remains upright and it's still smooth sailing to the election, which one can hope is true.
So will his announcement mean some changes in terms of staffing and some of the duties that were carried out by his allies and, his appointees at the White House?
Well, this remains the Biden administration, at least until January, until Inauguration Day, when the next president is inaugurated. So I think I don't want to predict anything, but in terms of, cabinet officials, in terms of high-level officials, they're likely to stick with the Biden administration, at least for a little while. So I think we're not likely to see any huge changes in the actual governance, in the actual governing branch. Whereas in the campaign, we may see some changes. A lot of that campaign infrastructure has already shifted over to the Harris campaign, but we may see some changes there. But I think in terms of familiar faces from the White House, many of them are likely to stick around, including, as Joe Biden said, he will, and he will try to serve to the end of his term.
And how are Kamala Harris staff reacting to Biden's handover?
Well, as I said, we just heard from the Vice President herself. There's a mix, I think, of gratitude to the president, but also an acknowledgement of the challenges ahead. And I think that's clear coming out of the Vice President's office. We're seeing a lot of sudden movements. For example, this afternoon, she'll be going to Delaware for a political event, likely where she'll meet with the president and discuss the path forward. So there's both excitement, but also uncertainty, because America's never been in this unique situation before.
In terms of what you saw this morning as you went to the White House, any changes, any major changes in terms of the mood of the workers there? What did you see?
Yeah, so what's interesting is that President Biden remains in Delaware, where he's recovering from COVID. So it's a kind of a strange atmosphere here at the White House because the president isn't home. So, of course, that's going to lead to questions in his absence. But I think there's a lot of wait and see happening here at the White House today. I also want to note that outside the White House this morning, there were protesters in anticipation of a major event tomorrow, which is the visit of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the United States. He's expected to speak before Congress on the 24th. And so there is that excitement and that drama happening right outside the White House today, and we expect tomorrow. So a lot of these major issues that are following the Biden administration, that are following just the work of any White House, are continuing. And business is marching on as usual in some ways, but meanwhile, there are lots of questions about what the future holds.